I achieved complete location freedom at age 24 by doing just one thing. And in today's video, I'll show you exactly how.
So let's walk through it step by step on this Miro board that I've created now. My name is James Eardley, and I've unlocked the key to being able to live anywhere in the world. I've got that location freedom that I was striving for so long, and I'm going to break down in these steps, simple steps in front of me here, how I was able to do that for you today. So if you feel like you've been pushed down a similar path and you feel like you're unfulfilled and you want more from life and you want that location freedom, then this is the clear path, the clearest path that I can possibly give you in order to take you from wherever you are right now, whether you're stuck in a job, when you feel like you're unfulfilled and you've got big goals, to getting to complete location freedom in a short amount of time. So the first thing to consider is the different stages that you'll go through. It won't be easy, but it'll look something similar for everyone that's going to go through this path, from following the normal path all the way through to location freedom. And then there's these little clear and actionable steps all the way along the way that I'm going to go through, and it relates to my journey. I'm going to show you my journey, exactly how it was as I went through each of these stages one at a time. If you're able to cultivate these steps and take the same actions, I guarantee you can also achieve the same success. I've now travelled into 7 different countries over the last 7 months, and this new lifestyle has been amazing, and it was never possible if I wasn't able to learn from others, if I wasn't able to take action on the videos that I'd watched, and so I want to give that to you now in this video. So step 1, the first part of this path, is following the normal path, and it's being lost and uncertain and not sure about what I should do with my life. Because what happened when I left school a fair few years ago now was that I had no idea what I should be doing, and I felt like I should have had it figured all out. But what it was I was indoctrinated in the system, because going through school and leaving school and going to sixth form college, you're kind of expected to have it all figured out or know what it is you want to do. But I had no idea, and I felt very lost because of that. And so I knew that I had to do something, and I had to get some money from somewhere. So my first thought was to try out some building work, because I knew a local builder, and this is me here on a digger, and we were going around residential sites around Shropshire to work on people's houses. And I was just getting my teeth cut in the world of work. It wasn't something that I planned necessarily, I just was doing something. And then after I had done a uni HNC, I then got my first taste of a 9-to-5 job. And this was me in a housing association in my local town. And what this was a typical 9-to-5 job in an office, and I got the real taste of what life was going to be like if I was going to follow the 9-to-5 path. And very quickly, within the first few months, although I eked it out for a few years, I could tell that that wasn't what I was hoping to achieve in life. And it wasn't for me. But I had a taste of what it would be like, that same pattern of 9-to-5 over and over again, if I was to continue in that role. And I knew I had ambitions, and I wanted to not live that normal life. I had bigger goals for myself, but I still felt completely lost, and I didn't know where to go. So that brought me on to the next step. And the thing I had to do to really understand how to get out of the first trap that I was in was to get clarity on where to start. And you can't start without getting clarity. So a lot of people will never make it through. They'll never make it out of this trap. And that's why we see so many people stuck in the 9-to-5 jobs that they feel unfulfilled with, and they don't get to the goals that they've got for themselves. Because the real problem is that they don't know what their goals are in the first place. They don't understand what is it they actually want to achieve. They never take the time to really allow themselves to dream and think about what it is they want in the future. But what happens if you do that is, if you've got a weak vision, you'll get weak results. Because if you don't know exactly where you're going to go, you can't make the right decisions to get to the success that you have in mind. So the first thing to do is to get really clear on what it is you actually want to achieve. So that's what I had to do. In order to escape that trap, I had to understand what was it that I actually saw for myself in the future. What would success look like for me? And then once I knew what I wanted, I had to get really clear on why it was important for me to achieve. So for example, I would visualize scenes like this. So working from a location anywhere in the world, maybe on the beach, and still being able to develop myself, being able to generate a very healthy income through businesses that I was running. This was my goal that I could start to visualize for myself. And these photos were taken of me just a few days ago, achieving this lifestyle. But in the first stage, a few years ago, I had to just know that this is actually the life I wanted to live. And it's amazing how many people don't understand exactly what it is that they want to achieve. So the first thing to do is to get inside yourself and really start to think and ask yourself those questions. What is it that success would look like for me? What is a successful life? If I could picture the perfect Tuesday in the future, what would it look like? And for me, it was about location independence, living around the world, exploring different places, but at the same time still being able to push myself and challenge myself and build businesses and help people out along the way. And that was my clear definition of a successful Tuesday in the future, and I've now been able to build that for myself. But it was only because I was getting clear on what it was. And then I had to build a clear reason why it was so important. So I built up in my mind the reason why I had to achieve that, and it has to be very strong, it has to be very emotional, because a strong reason why will become crucial further along as we go through this path, which I'll walk you through now, because there'll be tough times in the future, and the only thing we can rely on is having a strong reason why we want to do it in the first place. So for me, I had to really dig deep and understand why it so important for me to succeed or have location freedom. And it's because I've got this built-in side of me that wants to have control over my own life. I want to have autonomy over the choices I make, and that includes where I am in the world. And I have these deep reasons of wanting to be able to reach my potential and achieve things in life and have freedom over my choices and be able to do what I want when I want, and have that freedom that I don't think is given to us unless you go out and get it. And I had these strong reasons why, and it went really 5-6 levels deep as to why it was so important to me, and then I could really push on beyond that point. So the first step after feeling trapped is to get clear on what it is you actually want to achieve. Then after you've got that, the first thing to do is set up a strong foundation for you to achieve those results. A lot of the problems we have in society right now is because a lot of people aren't able to remove the bad habits, and that just holds you back no matter what it is your goal is, no matter what you've chosen as your future life path. If you can't remove bad habits that are giving you cheap dopamine, such as gaming or drinking or drugs or these sort of cheap dopamine activities, scrolling TikTok for hours, scrolling social media, if you can't remove those bad habits, we can't expect to insert healthy habits instead. And once you've got healthy habits, you've then got a strong foundation to achieve the results and to achieve the goals you've got. So first of all, I had to replace these bad habits that I had, which for me was scrolling too much, watching too much pointless YouTube videos, and I had to replace them with healthy habits because that gave me a strong foundation in order to give me energy. So I was in a great place then to push myself. So I got the basics right. And this doesn't have to be super complex. You haven't got to do amazing 2-hour morning routines. You haven't got to be working out for 3 hours a day. You haven't got to be having the perfect natural whole food diet. Nothing like that. We just need to get the basics right so that we're in a good place to push ourselves. So that means more than 7 hours sleep a night. We need to get to a point where we can do at least 30 minutes exercise a day. Our diet needs to be balanced and mainly whole foods and healthy and real food, things that our grandparents would recognise as food. And for mental health, we need to have strong, positive self-talk to put us in a position where we believe in ourselves to push on. And that's key. Something that's slept on too much is that we try to go too quickly to the tactical knowledge and the support that we need for any businesses that we're running. But if you haven't got these foundations in place, then you can't expect to actually take action on any tactical knowledge that you acquire along the way. So the next step, once you've got these healthy habits in place, and I was starting to get into a much better place to push myself, was that the next thing I was learning from listening to lots of podcasts, watching lots of YouTube videos, was that it was absolutely crucial that my peers around me were going to support me with my goals. And I started to look around the people around me, and I tried to look at what was normal for those people, because whatever is normal for those people would become normal for me as well. So if it was normal to go out till 3 a.m. drinking every weekend, or if it was normal to kind of have a lazy attitude towards the rest of your life and kind of be passive around what it is you achieve, then that is what would happen to me as well. And I started to question, is that the person I wanted to be? So it was time for me to curate my environment. And the way I did that was by joining a training program called Dropship Unlocked. And that put me around ambitious people who were striving for a better future and were all working on their own business. And so I'm active in this community still to this day as a coach. But this is me with my mentor, Lewis, and this is me at one of the events that we hold of Dropship Unlocked. And once I was in this environment, I was able to really get around people that inspired me. It's also a big reason as to why I believe in community so much now, because I know it is a huge path on your way to whatever goal you have, whether that be location freedom or anything. And so I now have my own community called Relentless Co. And inside the community, we have people constantly supporting each other and helping each other with the goals that they've got, and giving each other tips about what's working and asking questions about the businesses that they're running. And it's such an inspiring pace, because you look at all the members inside here and all of the resources here inside the classroom, and you realise when you're inside this community that you're surrounded by people that want the best for you, and you're surrounded by other ambitious people. And so if you want to become successful yourself, just remember that you will become the average of the 5 people you spend most time with, and that's in person but also virtually as well. So getting around communities, curating your environment is such a strong way to improve your life, and it is a big part on this path to location freedom. And I'm not just saying that because I run my own community now, which you're welcome to join. I'm saying that because I know it's absolutely crucial to have a strong environment in order for you to succeed. Now, I had that strong environment around me, And then what I needed to put in place next was a success routine. That was the next step on this timeline. And so I had to get this routine in place that would allow me to take action consistently over the long run. Because if you're going to achieve anything significant in life, it has to be done over the long run. And in order to take consistent action over a long amount of time, you need to have a routine in place that's sustainable. So it's sustainable, it means you're not going to get burnt out, it means you can take actions for the long run. So for me, I had to decide on a routine, and I decided that alongside my 9 to 5 job, I was going to start a business alongside, because I was around people that were running e-commerce businesses inside Dropship Unlocked. And so I decided that I'd follow the training program to the letter, and I would do it in the morning before I started my 9 to 5 job. So I'm naturally more of a morning person. So for me, it made sense for me to do one action every single day before I started work. But for other people, they might be more night owls, and it might make sense for them to do it last thing at night. So whatever it is for you, carve out just half an hour a day to start with, to at least one task towards the goal that you've got every single day. And whenever you put together a routine, understand if you can't do it for 5 minutes, don't do it. If you can't do it for 5 years, don't do it for even 5 minutes, because it has to be something that you're going to stick to, because you have to work at it every day over the long run in order to see significant results. Now, I'm not saying it will take 5 years. For me, it just took 6 months of working alongside my 9 to 5 job before I was getting consistent profits. But you do need to allow a decent amount of time when you're going to be having this routine in place. And it might be difficult because it's alongside a 9 to 5 job, but you've got to be willing to put that time in and that sacrifice in order to see results. Once I had that success routine in place, so it was just one action every single day, I was then able to see some progress. However, what happened at this point, and will happen for everyone else, is that you will encounter challenges. And I'd suggest progress will probably be slower than what you might expect it to be, no matter what business, no matter what avenue you go down. And so when you go through these inevitable challenges, you've got to understand that this is when we're going to lean on the strong reason why that we put together earlier on in this program. We put together the clear reason of what we want to achieve, and we have this strong reason why. And so that was done early on for a reason, because what happens after the first 2-3 months of hard work on your goals, you haven't yet seen the results that you want to see. And this is me working on my business. Even though I've been working on my business for months, I still wasn't seeing the results yet that I wanted to see. And so you're always put with a choice whenever you're not seeing results quickly. You've got the choice of moving on to a new shiny object that looks like a better opportunity and quitting, or you have the option of sticking it out. And I think the only way we're going to stick things out when they're tough is if we lean into what was it, or what was the reason why we got started in the first place. So whenever times were tough, I would double down on my reason why, and going back to that idea of fulfilling my potential and living a life that I was proud of and making people around me proud was a big reason why. So I kept leaning back into that. So I had a strict, clear reason why. So I continued on, even in spite of the challenges, because I had my routine to follow. And because I was constantly reinforcing my why, eventually, after 6 months, my business was beating my 9 to 5 income. And once it did that for 3 months in a row, I felt confident that it was going to then stay and be consistent so I could quit my 9 to 5 job. And that's what I did. I called my boss for a one-to-one chat, and I said to him, I've got some news to tell you, because I hadn't told him about the business that I was running, and I told him that I'm going to leave my job because I've built up an income stream from a business. That means I'm going to go all into that now. And so as soon as I did that, that was technically the day when I left that job, was the day that I technically became location free. Well, not technically, I did become location free on that day, because from that day forward I knew that I could generate the same income and more from anywhere in the world, as long as I had an internet connection and my MacBook with me. And so now I do travel the world. I make the most of that. It took me a little bit of time before I left the UK, but now I've been traveling around pretty much non-stop for the last few months, and it's been a no-brainer for me. It's getting me finally to the goal that I had set for myself back in the day, and I went through all of these challenges to get here. And now, I hired virtual assistants so that they provide me freedom, so I can travel and not be constantly tied to my businesses. And so it gives me the chance to build, the community that I run now, and it gives me the chance to record these videos to help other people to go through the same journey to location freedom. So effectively, what I do now is just chase the sun all year round, because I enjoy that. And at the same time as exploring and travelling new countries, I'm still growing my businesses, the same business that I started in the first place, and I'm also helping people out inside my community, Relentless Co, as well, and making these videos. And the whole thing has been incredibly rewarding, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without following these steps. And so I know you'll be able to achieve the same results. So if you're in a position now where you're at the start of your program, at the start of your process, and you're feeling lost, and you're over here, and you're in a 9-to-5 job, you know that there's more to life than what you've currently got into, then I've thought about a few pieces of clear, distinctive advice that I'd like to give you. The first thing is to be action-oriented. So there's all very well knowing these steps and watching this video and understanding how other people have got to location freedom, but in order for you to actually achieve this success, you need to step into the mindset of being action-oriented. And that means whenever you watch a video or you learn something new, you take action on it every day, and you take action on it as soon as you pick up that knowledge. Because if you're just constantly collecting information, constantly collecting knowledge, it's pointless unless you take action on it. So understand, if you become action-oriented, then that will get you to success much more than learning or taking on information ever will. The second thing is you've got to be willing to embrace failure. So I've come across lots of failure in my life, but without embracing failure, I never would have succeeded. At every single stage, whether it was first of all trying to get clear on my goals, I failed at that the first few times. And then when it was putting in place healthy habits, I failed at that a few times before I nailed it. Then if it was finding the right community, I failed at that a few times before finding a community that really resonated with me. And then before building my business, I made mistakes in the model that I was building the first time round. I had to learn from that. And then I made mistakes when I was in the process of building the business. And I'll continue to make mistakes. But what happens when you've got the mindset of embracing mistakes is that you take the chance in the first place. Because I've never been scared to make a mistake. Or I have been initially, but I've learned not to be now. And so now I'll take on actions, I'll take on difficult challenges because I'm not scared if it goes wrong. Because I know eventually I'll work things out. And you need to be able to embrace failures, otherwise you'll never start in the first place. And the final thing, and I keep going back to this because it's so crucial, is understand that your community, your environment that you're around is going to have the biggest impact. And when you lose motivation, because motivation goes up and down all the time, you need to rely on the discipline that you've built or the people around you. And so when you are struggling for what to do, you'll look around at those around you and learn what's normal for those people. And if you're surrounded by people that don't want the best for you, they'll be happy when you fall and you move away from your goals, and they won't be there to support you. But if you're surrounded by people that are also ambitious and want the best for you, when you're struggling, when times are tough, they'll be the ones that will push you back on. They'll be the ones that pick you up. So really think strongly about what type of people and what type of community do you want to be in order to achieve the results that you've got. So I hope you learned something from my journey today. I hope this inspires you to know that this is possible for you no matter what your starting position is. I had no head starts, and I understood in the same way as that you probably do, is that there's no such thing as handouts in life. You've got to go out there and do these things for yourself. And so hopefully you've learned something from my journey and you're inspired to take action after this video in order to go through your own success journey and achieve location freedom. So with that said, I will catch you in the next video.